Hey guys, hello.
What's going on, y'all?
Happy Thursday night, woo-hoo. We are on for our monthly Q&A on dating, relationships, and marriage. But before we get started, I want to share this to our Single and Satisfied page. So, excuse me, you're going to hear us talking. I want to share this. My husband's probably going to have to help me because how do you share this? So he's going to share it from my page. It just popped up on my page. We're trying to do it a little different this time. We normally do it a different way. So I'll do it. I'll let you talk, babe. He's going to take over for a second.
Hope everybody's doing well. We're excited to be on here tonight to answer some questions. We have some questions that were sent to us ahead of time. If you have any questions while we're on here, make sure you ask them. If time permits, we will make sure that we answer them.
Here it is.
Hope everybody's doing well. We'll give you guys a few more moments to log on, and then once we get to share it to our other platforms, then we'll get started. So hope everybody's doing good. A lot going on this week, election, there's a lot of stuff happening, but we trust that everybody is doing well, that everybody is calm, that everybody is just enjoying your week, having a good week. It's about to be Friday, so
almost the weekend, y'all.
Yeah, Thursday is the new Friday.
So yeah, I just shared it to all the groups. So basically, this is usually done in my Single and Satisfied Facebook group that's for single women, but we also wanted to offer this to men as well, since I have a husband now, from a male's perspective on dating, relationships, and marriage. And as you guys know, I always get questions about dating, relationships, situations, marriage. I usually try to answer them through the week, but I like to do this once a month. And we skipped last month because it was just so much going on, but we won't skip another month. We want to make sure we're consistent with it because usually I get so many questions, and this is just an easier way to be able to answer all of your questions. So really quick, if you are a single woman, make sure you join my Single and Satisfied Facebook group. We encourage each other in there, other single women, build community in there. And there's so many other things that's going on in there right now and that's coming up, which I'm excited about, which I'll be talking about probably in the next couple of weeks. But also get Single and Satisfied, the Single Woman's Guide to Fulfillment. The workbook is now available at charbriashine.com, and the Single Woman's Dating Guide is now available. So I'm excited about that if you're a single woman. So also don't miss at Max Out Girl Podcast. I don't want to forget this at the end, but right now we are talking about how to not be a doormat in relationships. And I share my experiences in past relationships and other things. So again, check out at Max Out Girl Podcast. Bless you, babe. Max Out Girl Podcast. We talk about so many different topics of dating, relationships, our faith, and so many things of how to max out as a woman. Okay. So we're just going to get straight to it because we're just going to spend about 30 minutes. I answered a lot of questions already. So we're just going to answer a few questions that I got today that I didn't get to answer throughout the week. So the first question is, let me get it from my phone. It says, what's your opinion on interdependent relationships? And so I want to define that for those who are wondering, what is she talking about? An interdependent relationship is when two people, both strong individuals, are involved with each other, but without sacrificing themselves or compromising their values. Each person values their own sense of self and can fully be themselves. So unless I'm missing something, this pretty much just sounds like a healthy relationship. Two people who know who they are, they have a strong sense of self, self-worth, their values, and they don't sacrifice or compromise who they are or their values to be with the other person. So they're two strong individuals, again, who know who they are, and they're not willing to settle for less than God's best. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, that was pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I think that in relationships, you should be yourself, and you should be free to be yourself. You shouldn't have to be in a relationship where you're walking on eggshells. So if it's two strong people, I mean, as long as the relationship, will allow for that, where the other person is not intimidated by the strength of the other person, or you always hear sometimes that, two chiefs, sometimes can get along, but sometimes two chiefs can. So as long as, the two people are happy and they allow for each individual to be themselves, I don't see a problem with it.
So you say two chiefs, kind of like two alphas. Do you feel like we're two chiefs?
I think we are. I mean, I think that
because I've been called an alpha female like all my life. So.
I think that in the grand scheme of things, I'm more of an extrovert than her. But I think we're both dominant in our own ways. Definitely, So
not extroverted, babe, but like dominant personalities who can be in control.
Yeah, that too. I think the introvert extrovert piece goes with it. So I think that we're both dominant. You're a little less dominant. Although right now in life, she's able to, because she does a lot of her different things, it shows. Right now I'm not coaching, so I don't get to express my dominance, in a craft per se.
Yeah. Well, I need those people who know both of us to speak on this, because usually they're not talking about like craft, they're talking about like personality style. And I would say, as far as personality style, I'll admit, okay, yeah, I'm an alpha female, but I know how to let my husband lead. And I'll admit that he can be an alpha male if he wanted to, but he's more laid back. You're more laid back, babe.
I choose to be laid back.
I was going to say, you lead with your presence. You don't lead with your mouth. You know how some alpha males, because I don't know if you would be alpha male. You can, and I've seen that.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're more laid back. You don't have to always be in charge, and you lead by example, which to me is attractive. I like that. Me, I could lead in silence, but I can also lead with my mouth. But absolutely, I think that's great. And I think two strong people can be together, but they have to learn how to prefer the other person, be humble, and listen to each other. And I think, we do a great job of that. So
there's a lot. I mean, you have to...
It is. Especially when a woman is alpha. But I learned, and I'm still learning, to tame the tongue is what it is. I don't have to be always right. I don't have to always be in control. And I think that's a major one for me, because I don't just like to control people just to control people, but I like to have control over my life, like in situations. And I've struggled with being a perfectionist, and then that can kind of pour over to my husband, like I'm trying to control everything because I'm a planner and all those types of things. And so that's something I've had to give to God, like, Lord, help me, because I've tried to control everything before I got married, with my life, with my goals, my dreams, and you know how it is. God shakes things up. I got a question for Charbria Shine. What's up, Coach? Go ahead, Jeremy. What's your question? Type it in. Did he already type it in, babe?
No, I don't see it.
Oh, we don't see it yet. Sounds like me. Okay, Riri. Yes, absolutely.
Hey, I'll say this too. True strength. We're talking about dominant people.
Yeah.
True strength is found in submission. Your ability. She gonna act like she's just like she's surprised or something. Yeah, true strength is found in submission. The Bible has all kinds of examples about that. You always hear the greatest among you is that person who's willing to serve. Yeah. And then within the confines of a marriage, when you're willing to submit, you're not prideful, you're not haughty, you're not. It got to be my way. It's that soft answer turns away wrath type of character.
Yeah.
That's where you'll find strength. That the person amongst you that they chilling, they quiet, they observing, they checking things out. Most people, the majority would see that kind of person as weak.
Yeah.
But that person is really not weak. If you pay attention to them, they're not really weak. So that's the kind of character that, the slow to speak, quick to listen. Mm-hmm. See the wisdom, the ways of God are I wasn't gonna say backwards, but they're not backwards. They're actually the right way, but they're opposite. What seems
foolish to our natural thinking.
Yeah. So dominant personality doesn't mean like, ooh, me, gotta be my way. I'm like this.
Yeah.
They gotta let me be who I am. Mm-hmm. It's not like that. The strength comes from a person that is able to control themselves, control their soul. And you'll see that person that'll be the person that demonstrates meekness, self-control, those kind of characteristics. So,
and I can just be honest and say that you are a great example of that. I think sometimes when we think of like alpha male, or we think of somebody who's strong, or how a man should be, we might think of like a lot of testosterone, like they gotta show themselves strong by what they say, or trying to act like be intimidating. But he's real chill. But I've seen him in situations have so much wisdom, and sometimes, like he said, you could take that for weakness, but it's not that. And I learned that from him because I'm more boisterous, right? I would definitely say, and just period. And he's shown me like, that doesn't mean that I'm stronger. That doesn't mean that I'm smarter. That doesn't mean that I have more wisdom. Actually, it can be opposite. Like, you don't have to try to prove, that you're smarter or you get the last word, or I'm not stronger because I'm more boisterous. And I've seen his silent strength. And for me, that was a change because I was used to more dominant males. But he's dominant in a way that isn't like self-seeking or putting me down as his wife because he's the man, like he said, submitting one to another. And I love that because I'm learning that. Because for me, I'm like, a man's supposed to do this, and that's weakness. And it's like, no, like a Christ-like man, absolutely not. And I've seen him rise up in strength, but you can do that and use wisdom, And so good job. So yes,
got something else.
Oh, what's the question? I don't see the question, Jeremy, that you're asking.
Oh, I don't know.
Did it not come up? Okay.
Ask that question, homie. But I'm about to say something, but I can't quite remember right now. Yeah,
it'll come back. All right, so let's go on to another question. Okay, this is a loaded one. You gotta help me. So, have you ever been attracted to someone and he was either not a Christian or a godly man? We get to know each other and it doesn't go anywhere. Also, when I like a guy, I'm always looking at his social media pages. Most of the Christian guys that I've been interested in only text me on social media or never approach me in person. Now, as for ungodly men, I am trying to get over this guy who is younger than me and doesn't know Jesus. What should I do to move on? Because I'm always talking about this certain guy to people in conversation. So, loaded question, but I want to start off with the first one. You
go ahead.
Okay. Mine will be quick. First of all, as for ungodly guys, if you are a Christian woman, you're unequally yoked, you need to not even spend your time. I don't care how cute, fine, money he got, flirting with you. Girl, you're unequally yoked. It's going to end up bad either way it goes. Or you're going to settle, get in it because it seems good, only to later have you compromising your godly values. It just is what it is. You don't want to start a relationship in a deficit. Could it turn around and he really loves God and get saved? Yeah, but why start off at a deficit? You want someone that's on the same page with you spiritually. As far as have I ever been attracted to a guy that's not a Christian or ungodly? Absolutely. But for me, it's like, what's attraction got to do with it? We could be attracted to a lot of people. My husband will tell you he was attracted to a lot of women before he met me that were beautiful and, that had good looks. Some of them, could have looked better than me. But what is that in the end of the day, if their values aren't the same, if you're not on the same page spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and of course you're not going to be, the same on every page, but your faith, it's got to be number one, okay? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, attracted to, but you just have to tell yourself that it's not worth it in the end, and I won't settle for less. It's just not worth it. And I've been there before where I was lonely in my singleness at a certain point in it, where I'm like, man, they looking good, they got this, they got a house, they got a car, they try to wine and dine me, but it's like, in the end, what does all that matter? I could get with them for a season, it'll seem cool, but after a while, it's like, it's not going to be a good situation for me. And if they're always trying to talk to you on social media or text you, but they never want to meet you in person, they're probably not really interested in really cultivating a real relationship with you. And then, and it's okay to ask, get clarity. Like, do you want to meet me? Or, are you looking to date? Are you looking, for a wife? Are you looking, to have a relationship with? Like, y'all, ain't nobody got time to play. So I'm going to tell you, my singleness, I saw clarity. It's like, what's up? Like, I don't have time. And usually for me, if I had to ask you like that, 2 fingers, like, you a man, like, man up. But I'm a different kind of woman, I'll admit. As I said, I'm probably an alpha female, and I'm like, you either want me or you don't. And if you're unsure, just be honest. Like, I'm still getting to know you. I don't know yet, but let's get to know each other. But all of the, I'm unclear, I'm unsure, I'm confused. The word of God says God is not the author of confusion. So if I'm confused, let it go. And she wants to know, how can she get over this guy? I'm going to say stop talking about him. Mm-hmm. Block, delete the social media pages. Even if it hurts, do it. And don't unblock them.
Yeah, because you
got to move on.
Yeah, I'm a guy. And so like,
we know.
It's, you have to, okay, I just keep it simple. And this is talking to guys and females and males. You have to, at some point, decide what you want. Because when you know what you want, like you don't decide in your heart a car that you want. You're like, okay, I'm going to the car lot to get an Escalade. And then you go to the car lot and it's all these other cars, these hoopties or whatever kind of cars. You know what you want. So you're going to be able to locate it, like, there's my car that I like over there, because you already knew what you wanted. You spent time daydreaming about it. You spent time thinking about it. When it passed by, you was like, ooh, I want one of them. You know, and it's the same thing. Like, when you want something in a, you know, if you want a mate, you're looking for a spouse, somebody to marry, then you ought to think about what you want. And sometimes you might know what you want just based off of something you like. You might know what you want because you've seen failed relationships in your family or whatever, and you say, you know, I don't want that, I don't want this. It might be certain physical attributes, whatever it might be. When you come with what you know, when it shows up, you'll know that's it. Yeah. You know, it was the same thing with her. There's certain things that I already knew I want. There's certain things I knew I didn't want. So if I met her, as beautiful as she is, as amazing as she is, a woman of God as she is, if she wasn't what I was looking for, then I wouldn't have, it wouldn't have lasted past the first date for me. Not that she's a bad person, but you have a right to want what you want. Yeah. So take time before you search, you start searching, take time to think about what you want, or you might end up wasting a lot of time just going through people like, oh, I don't like that, or ooh, I like that. I ain't really like that. You know, take a little bit of time, and then also ask your Father, the Lord. He knows what you like more than what you like,
and what you need,
and He knows how to give you both, and He knows how to bring what you want when you still trying to figure out what you want. Yeah, that's, you know what I mean? Point. Like, He knows you. So He made you, He created you, and He put that thing on the inside of you that you may not even know that's on the inside of you that wants a certain type of mate. Yeah. So just trust Him and lean in on Him. Like, we got to stop trying to do it ourselves. Like, lean in on Him so that He can help you bring the person that He really has predestined for your life, and that you'll fulfill destiny with.
Yeah, that's good. And I want to add even about, sometimes you may not even know what you want, but that's okay too. At some point you'll know what you don't want. You know what I mean? So it was times where I met guys where it was like, I don't know necessarily what I want yet, but I know that ain't it. Like, you get to know me, like, ooh, they're violent, or oh, they don't respect me, or oh, they treat me like they could take it or leave it. Like, you know you don't want that. And sometimes you do have to see, like, certain situations, like you said, and you're like, I don't want that, or it's not cool. But like you said, sometimes you would just ask God, and He'd be like, that ain't the one. Like, I've had so many situations where guys would flirt, and I would be like, okay, he seems presentable, he seems nice, and I would be like, Lord, what you think? And he'd be like, mm-mm. And like later I find out something terrible about them, but on paper and up front they seem amazing. And it's like, God can honestly, you know, keep you from a lot of heartache if you would just slow down, take your time, and listen. And sometimes you'll go through situations and you'll learn, and you'll just say, well, I learned, but that, you know, that's not it, and that's okay too. Yeah. It was something else that you said that I was going to, I was also going to say, back to the point of God also knows what you want, but He knows what you need. Sometimes we don't know. We look at who we are right now and what we want in the season we're in now, but God knows who you're going to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later. And He wants you to grow, right? He wants you to develop into the woman or man God, that He has for you to be. And so there are certain things about my husband that challenge me that I wouldn't have asked God for, because sometimes you don't want to be challenged in certain situations, certain areas of your life, because sometimes I'm complacent, sometimes areas I don't want to grow, and I'm like, this is me, you know, and then God sends me him, and there's certain areas that challenge me to grow up, to woman up, to mature. But that's good, because that's going to help me be the woman God's created me to be, and vice versa. And so that's why it is good to also include God in the process. And I wanted to answer, I don't know if you're still on, Jeremy. So my girlfriend and I are discussing marriage. I'm trying to do better with my finances to get her the ring she wants, but it's a little over what I'm trying to spend. How do I balance How do I balance that sacrifice? Is that what it's saying? Oh, you don't have your, I balance the sacrifice that, does it say see more? Is there more to see? Oh, how do I balance the sacrifice that comes with love and financial responsibility? And would you be disappointed if the ring you were given wasn't necessarily one you wanted? Not that you had to worry about that, because I took the pictures of your engagement.
All right.
Wait, he asked me first.
I can answer that one, brother.
Okay.
I got you.
Okay, we're gonna be real. Okay,
we're gonna be straight.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it real. I was spoiled. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest.
Okay, sure.
I'm gonna be honest.
That's how you help the people. Come on.
I was being spoiled, and originally, okay, my husband allowed me to pick out what I wanted. So originally, I was supposed to give him 3 options. I was supposed to give him like a high end, middle end, because he didn't give me a price. So a high end, middle end, and a low end, like of what I thought was low. He should have gave me a price. Low end, middle, and high. And I ended up picking 3 rings, and I showed him, the pictures and where they were from. And then after showing him the 3 rings, I found the ring. I went to another store, and it was like the one I have on. It was like the ring. And just being transparent, it was out of our budget. And he got it for me anyway. But on the other side of I adore my ring. I'm just going to keep it real. I love it. It is perfect. And I got to pick it out. But on the other side, we're learning so much about finances that it's like... But can I give you the real answer of how I feel?
Give them the real...
But it's probably not what you want to hear.
This may not work.
But you can tell it from a male's perspective. Okay. From a real perspective... I would have still wanted the ring that I have. Y'all, I'm keeping it real. You would think now at this point, what I can say is, it's not necessarily worth the strain later. I know that's what he's going to say. But it also depends on your girl. We were open up where he could talk to me about those types of things. If y'all got that kind of relationship, hopefully you do. I don't know where she knows you're probably going to propose soon. I don't know if you're trying to surprise her or not. But maybe you could hint around or have somebody ask her and kind of ask, like, would she be disappointed if, because something was out of your price range, if you got something beautiful but cheaper and upgraded it later? I don't think there's anything wrong with asking those questions. Hopefully she'll be honest. I think I was being spoiled about it and just being transparent, and I wanted what I wanted, and because who he is, he made it happen. But I think that you do, because, babe, I don't want to say no, because it depends on the woman. And because now, in hindsight, I'm like, you could have got me something smaller, but in actuality, that depends on the woman. I can't say for her, like, yeah, get her something smaller, get her something that she doesn't want, because I've known situations where that has happened. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, can I be real too? If he had given me a smaller ring, would I have still married him? Absolutely. So at the end of the day, it boils down to, do you both love each other? Do you want to be together? And if that is the case, I don't care how small the ring is, I would have married him because I love him and because he's the man that I want. And it is more about the man than the ring, or the woman than the ring. But I do know that there's some women that's like, no, this is what I want. If I don't get this, I wasn't that woman. But I was like, this is what I want. Like, I was excited about it. But if he would have gotten me something smaller, of course I would have still married him. I loved him and I still love him. Like, you can upgrade a ring, but you don't want to miss out on the right person for you just because you don't have the money. I feel like money should never stop you from marrying the person that you love. You can build together, you can grow together, you can upgrade a ring, but you don't want, But again, I cannot speak for her. I can only speak for myself. I would have still been excited to marry him because he is the love of my life. Now from a male perspective.
All right, so.
Oh, this says, in my opinion, in my marriage, we don't wear jewelry, so a ring wasn't important to me. A ring doesn't make a marriage in my thoughts, but I respect people that do follow the ring trend. You're right. I mean, that's why I say it depends on the couple. Like, for me, I was big on the fact, like, just for me, don't propose to me without a ring. Like, I was like, it needs to be official, and I'm old-fashioned, too, so I'm like, it needs to be, the right, how I thought in my mind was the right way, traditionally, but it didn't have to be a certain size ring, but he gave me a choice. So that was his fault. It was his fault. Like, he was like, babe, pick out your ring because I want you to be happy. But again, would I have been happy with something smaller? Yeah, because I wanted to marry him. But you have to know your girl. Is she like, ride or die, I love you, I want to be with you? Or is she a little princess? I'm a little bit of both. So I can go either way. I'm a little bit of a princess, but like, I'm all about the man that I'm marrying. So if he would have came with something really small, oh well, I love you, upgrade me later. Upgrade me later. But I've been waiting a long time. You know, I'm a little later. I'm almost 40. So I was like, yeah, make it happen, baby.
All right.
Okay, now here's his perspective, y'all.
She gave y'all the nice answer. I'm not going to be...
No. That was my answer. Your answer is going to be, I told you, it ain't going to be the one.
You got to let me talk now.
It ain't going to be the one that he like. He going to be like, no, don't do it.
Listen. All right, as a man. Listen,
as
babe.
a man.
No,
I'm giving you a spotlight, baby.
I don't need it. Nope.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Listen. You have to, first of all, you have to decide what your values are, okay? Based on, like, us, like, right now, we're working to be completely financially free, okay? Yes. And there's some things that we went through early in our marriage that were financial strains. And going through those things, like, and then you hear statistics like marriage is the number one, finances is the number one reason for divorce.
Yeah.
Like, I can see why, because with us just going through a few things, which we wasn't divorcing or nothing, but you can feel the financial strain on certain things and stress. And then there's arguments or disagreements or, you know, you can feel that tightness in the atmosphere of your home, and it's not worth it. So before you get married and you're working on things like the wedding, the dress, the ring, like all those kind of things, you have to start thinking about your financial future then. You can't separate the kind of ring that you're going to get, that you're going to propose with, from what it's going to look like a year from now. Because...
And the wedding and all that.
Right. Because if you're going to go into debt to make that moment nice, then you have to say, you know what? I'm willing to go through the financial strain that this is going to pay me back in the future with possible consequences. And I'm telling you right now, it is not worth it.
Right.
Okay. So here's the thing. I know she mentioned about, well, it depends what kind of person they is or whatever, but I think sometimes you have to look at wisdom, and it's not worth going into debt.
Right.
So because of that, because you got to pay that back somewhere, and you can't bank that on, well, I got a good job or something like that, because you get things like COVID that happen and life changes.
And that did impact us, by the way.
It impacted us.
Because before COVID, everything, financially was cool.
Yeah, so it impacted us a little bit. But, and not that us as God's people, God take care of us.
Right.
But when you
the natural with jobs.
When you make decisions, when you borrow from the future to have what you want right now, when you get to the future, you got to pay that back.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, if you take a ring and you get something out of your budget, or you finance for the ring, and then later on you got to pay that back, and you might have got it on some kind of Valentine's Day special where they had a certain, they holding the interest, and you like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna pay that thing back or whatever, and then something like COVID happened or something, or a job changes, or you get laid off or something, and now what you foresaw is, I'm gonna be able to take care of that anyway.
Yeah.
Then something happens, then you can't. And now you're paying thousands of dollars or something like that for something that, it's a ring. And I know it's a token. For me, that's why I wanted to get her what she wanted, because I felt like she was worth it.
But it's not everything, like somebody was saying.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, to go back and make that decision again, I probably would have changed it. I knew she was the type of person that would understand. Probably would have been hurt a little bit or whatever, but
not hurt, no,
not hurt, but kind of disappointed.
Not hurt, and even if I was disappointed, I'd have never shown it, because I value the fact that you chose something for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, but I'm a little bit more mature in that regard, and that's why I told him it does depend on the woman, because unfortunately, I know women that trip about it. I would have tripped, but then you also have to ask yourself as a man, like, your values, because you'll be the husband. You have to use wisdom as well. And if you buy a token and this woman refuses to be engaged to you because the token isn't what she thought, to me, that seems a little superficial.
Yeah, you probably need to ask yourself, what is this really about?
I'm not that type of person. But I was excited he let me pick it out. But if he didn't, I was still marrying him because I loved him. Yeah.
And so here's the thing, like you just have to think down the road, or listen to what we're saying, or other couples that have made those decisions, because it's just, I'm gonna be honest. Some of the things that we had to go through because of some of the choices we made for our wedding and in the beginning, the ring, all that, like we had to pay for that stuff. Yeah. And I'm not talking about just pay for it in cash. Now, what it does is it constricts your life later. So now, I want to have some fun. I want to go do this. I want to travel. You can't do that. Yeah. Because you got to pay for this. Yeah. You got to go back and take care of that. And now you're trying to build with your family. You're trying to get a place. You're trying to make some money moves or whatever. And you can't. Yeah. Because of the moment that you want it to be sweet. I'd rather sacrifice in the moment. Yeah. And we watch a lot of Dave Ramsey. You live like no one else, so later on you can live like no one else. Yeah. I would rather my wife have all she wants later, and we sacrifice now so that we can be sound and we ain't owing everybody, and sacrifice here, and then down there you get whatever ring you want. Yeah. You get whatever house you want.
I definitely agree. I definitely would say, because I don't want to turn into a wedding seminar, but that was good. But that was good, though. Yeah. That was needed. And I definitely would say about all of that stuff, if we're talking about wedding rings and all that, you definitely need to plan accordingly. Don't spend over your means. And honestly, it's okay to not, give into societal norms. Like, if y'all want to do it without rings, do it. You could get a ring later. Like, I think it is up to the couple. And for me, that wouldn't have worked. And let me tell you why that wouldn't have worked for me. I had been engaged before, and he didn't have a ring, nothing. It was a bum deal, the way it all went down. So for me, it was important for him to value me enough to get the ring. Not because I was superficial, but I was like, this is a token to show me you're taking the steps to propose to me, And I don't think anything's wrong with that. But I do think we planned our wedding in 3 months. 3 months, people. We'll talk more about that later, but 3 months. And we did not have a small wedding at all. So it's just like the amount of stress that beautiful wedding. We loved it. Great memories. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But again, that was important to me. But in 3 months, we put ourselves through a lot of stress to make that happen. And at the end of the day, like he said, for what? Why? Because you have to live afterwards, but also like just cramming everything in 3 months, and it was just a lot. And it did in those 3 months. We had fun and planning and all that, but it was so stressful that I feel like it did have us like stressed at each other at times. Yeah, it wasn't bad, honestly.
Yeah, that part wasn't. It
wasn't bad. But for me, like I just feel like what he's saying is true about if you can't afford the ring, get what you can afford. Yeah, get what you can afford. And if she says no, man, that tells you a lot about her, honestly.
Yeah, here's the thing.
But number one don't give her a choice if you don't want to give her a choice.
Here's the thing. Look, it's about togetherness anyway. So give her a range. If she wants to pick her own, give her a range so that she can know what to look for. That's like the best way. It doesn't take the surprise element out of it.
Yeah, and some women don't want to choose their own.
And here's the thing. You can always upgrade. They always gonna make rings.
Yeah, okay? I'm gonna be honest. I don't need to upgrade. I don't know if I need to upgrade. So my thing for you is, man, do not go into debt getting a ring. Do not do it, okay? Number 2, do not spend all you have to go get a ring, okay? Because then you're not going to be able to live. I don't think you're supposed to put yourself in pressure. I don't believe pressure situations are like what the Lord will require of you. Like, if you got to go make some more money to get it, do that. Yeah. But just be honest with where you're at. And here's the thing. That doesn't mean that now you wait. Because I've heard them kind of situations too. I want to propose to the person, but now I can't get them the ring that I want, so I'm going to wait until I can get it. I believe if you love that person, you get them a token ring. It may not be the most expensive or whatever, but you get them a token. And then maybe by the wedding, you can upgrade, whatever. But, don't make it about that, because that kind of stuff puts so much pressure on couples. It's not even about love anymore. It's about the ring, the token, who I can show it to. And that's just
That's not what God made marriage about. So don't put yourself in a bad financial place where you got to pay for it later. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Great tips, babe. That's awesome. And definitely I feel like too, if you wait for a lot of things, you could build wealth together.
Yeah.
And you'll see, like I said, like, don't feel pressured by society or social media, anything like that. Like, do what you and your fiance or, decide you want to do. Some people elope, some people get rings later, some people go to the courthouse first and have it later. Like, whatever, for you is right. And no one can tell you that. Like, certain of those things may not have worked for me. Some may work for you. So you have to know what's important to you and to your spouse or the person you're going to marry.
Yeah.
Like, for us, I considered eloping, not because I necessarily wanted to elope. You're welcome, Jeremy. Not because I wanted to necessarily elope, but for 3 months to plan a wedding, I was like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But then we had decided that if we didn't get married now, because we were a long distance couple, him living in South Carolina, me in Indiana, that we would, I think because of your job or something, we would have to wait an entire year. And we were kind of just like, that's a lot. And glad we didn't, because if we would have, it would have been during COVID. And the wedding that we had wouldn't have been possible because it was like 200 some people at our wedding. So it wouldn't have been possible. So we're kind of glad he rushed me to marry him. No, I'm just like, but no, it worked out. But definitely. Great answer, babe. All right, let's move on. This one says, my question is how to stay focused on God and fight lust, especially feeling lonely like adult company. You want to go?
Yeah, I'll take that. I guess, the first thing is in fighting lust. Well, the first part is being lonely and then fighting lust. You got to really build your relationship with the Lord. Get in a good church if you're not, and get yourself grounded and rooted to your purpose, to who you are. Because when you know who you are, there's certain things that you won't do or that you will start to stop doing. And then learning the will of God about lust and what his purpose for you is in that area. Once you begin to start learning that, then that's where you say, you know what, I don't have to do that, because God is requiring me not to do that, because I am righteous, and that's not how a son of God or a daughter of God acts. That's not what I do. And then once you begin to grow in that area, you get his truth in that area. Then also you'll start to think about the people that, in the quote, I think it mentioned about, visitors or something, people
feeling lonely like adult company
and all that kind of stuff. You start to think about those people too, because it's not only you involved in that, but it's also another person. And in actuality, if you want to be with somebody one day, it's a hindrance to the both of you, because as long as you're entertaining one another, you're holding each other back from what God has for you, that promise. And so it's a sure way of continuing to take a lap in the wilderness until, you pass the test in that season. So, just getting the will of God on that thing and learning that that's not what that doesn't please him. Yeah. And the more of that truth you get inside of you, recognizing that your body's a temple of the Holy Spirit, and continuing to get that truth in you, God will begin to work on your heart, and he'll fill those voids of loneliness to where you're not lonely anymore. Yeah. Another thing I would say too is getting accountability. Mm-hmm. So for guys, listen, if you're falling in the area, in what you're watching and what you're doing, get some accountability. Reach out to your pastor, reach out to a friend, reach out to somebody that's going to tell you about you, and that you're going to be able to give them an ear to tell you about you, because a lot of times people don't want to be told about themselves. You just want to do what you do, and you want somebody to be like, oh, you know what, I understand. But when somebody comes in your life and say, you know what, that's crazy, stop doing that, stop treating people like that, that's a one-way ticket in the wrong direction. You need that kind of person in your life that you're going to allow to tell about yourself and that you're going to be completely open with. And so that's guys or males or females. Make sure that you get that accountability person. So when you're feeling weak, you can say, hey, listen, I'm feeling this sort of way. I feel like inviting so-and-so over. I feel like doing this. I need your help. Can you come kick it with me tonight? Or you can get it to the point where you can say, hey, anytime I'm going to hang out with somebody, I'm going to call you. Or you could take it another step further. Hey, I'm not hanging out with somebody of the opposite sex alone. I'm going to hang out in groups. That further protects you, and it doesn't give the devil a place. The Bible talks about don't give the enemy any place. Abstain from the very appearances of evil. So as you begin to grow those things in your heart and sow them into your heart and meditate on those things, that's how the right conduct will begin to grow out of your heart. And then you won't be as susceptible to be able to fall into those traps of temptation. So
yeah, that's great, babe. I just piggyback off of that. I talk about it a little bit in my book, Single and Satisfied, The Single Woman's Guide to Fulfillment, about lust and sexual stuff. I said in the book, you're going to crave what you feed yourself, first and foremost. And so, you have to get radical with it, because, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The word tells us that. We're human. We got that sin nature. We got to kill it. And so, because of that, you have to watch. He kind of said some of it. What are you watching? What are you listening to? Are you listening to music that invokes lust? It's talking about, that music y'all be listening to. I ain't gonna name no names. I used to be that too, but I had to get that stuff up. What are you listening to? How's it making you feel when you listen to it? Are you feeling horny afterwards? Are you feeling like you want to go show everybody your goodies afterwards? What is it, putting in your heart and your spirit? And what are you watching on TV? It got to a point, y'all, when I was single, if it was something I was watching that had a sex scene, I would fast forward it or turn it off, because I was radical with myself. I knew that I had sexual sin in my life and I wanted to be done with it, but I had lust. It was that desire. So it was I got to be radical with it. If I stop feeding myself this stuff, I'm going to stop craving it. So I start feeding myself the word instead of those things. So that music I stopped listening to, certain shows I didn't engage in. If it's something that was always promiscuous, always had sex scenes, I just didn't watch it. Couldn't deal with it. And I think the problem is we think we're so strong. But again, the spirit is willing, the flesh is weak. You're tempting yourself. You're not strong. You have to take heed to that. So what are you feeding yourself? If you're into porn, that's a negative. That's definitely gonna incite more lust, perversion, masturbation, everything that's gonna continue in the wrong path of sexual sin. And it has a very dark, negative, addictive impact on your soul, on your mind, in your life, your heart, in every area of your life. And so, yeah, watch what you're feeding yourself. Get radical with it. At first, it seems annoying because you're I'm an adult. I should be able to do this. I should be able to do that. But man, on the other side of that, you feel so free. And then you feel why was I even tripping over that stuff anyway? But I'm going to tell you, it is a battle. The enemy don't want to give up no territory in your life. He don't want you free. So there will be times where I'm feeling a certain way. And I'm why am I even feeling these? Why am I feeling like this? Because I've opened those doors. So for years to that. So now I have to reverse that and feed myself with the word and speak against it. I bind the spirit of lust. I bind this feeling. I bind that. And accountability. I had an accountability partner hey, I'm feeling this way, or I'm trying to go over such house. I need some help. Talk to me. Let's hang out. Let's do this. And in the question, it says something about adult company. I don't know if you're talking about male company because it's a female who asked the question. If you just want adult company, because I think you have children, the person who asked it, hang out with your girlfriends, build that tribe. I know right now because of COVID, everybody's not hanging out, but when that clears, or if you have friends that are safe that you guys hang out with, hang out, build that tribe. And male company, I'm gonna keep it real, y'all. It got to a point where there was no male company for me. There was no, you can come over my house. I wasn't strong enough. If a male came over my house, something was probably going to go down. And not necessarily sex, but some type of sexual activity, and it just didn't work for me. And I had to it sounds really sad, but I had to own up to it and say, I'm weak in this area. So no man don't need to come to my apartment. Even if we're friends, no, you can't come over. It just is what it is. Like he said, hanging out, we're in groups because I cannot handle this. The temptation, it wasn't always me, but the enemy knows how to tempt you. So he's gonna find those opportunities to tempt you. And so I got to the point where I was I'm going to do everything that I need to do to keep myself pure, because I'm the temple. My body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And this is impacting me negatively when I'm in sexual sin, when I'm inviting lust into my life. It's impacting every area of my life. And I start seeing the negative impact. And I was tired of it. I wanted to live for God. I wanted to be pure, and I wanted to regain, my strength in that area. And I wanted to get myself together for my future husband. And when I tell you it's possible, it is possible to reverse it. But when I tell you you have to be dogmatic about it and you can't make excuses for yourself, people was calling me weird because you ain't going out with no dudes, you ain't this, you don't think you can hang out with no guys alone? No, I'm not even giving myself the opportunity to fall because the flesh will take the opportunity. And so it just depends how serious you are in that area. And I do think it matters if you're a virgin, if you're not, because I just think that that's different. I think once you've opened that door, it's very easy to keep opening that door back up. It just is what it is. Not to say a virgin can't get tempted, because that's how people lose their virginity. But I'm just saying, like, you really have to take accountability for yourself and say, I want to be pure. Mm-hmm. And don't feel bad when you fall. Don't condemn yourself. God still loves you. Just say, Lord, help me, forgive me, help me to be stronger, and keep going. And for me, I just didn't give up. It was a process, but I did not give up. I was dogmatic about my purity, and I just kept going, and I kept feeding myself with godliness and the word of God and my accountability partners and being strict on myself to the point where it was so worth it. How many years was I abstinent when I met you? Almost a decade. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was worth, for me, like, that was so worth it to be able to forget all of my past, because God, like, erased it from my memory. And that's how you want it. Whereas if when you have intercourse for the first time with your mate, where it's like it's your first time, and my husband, it was his first time. God bless me, so I feel that. So I feel like, I know it's worth it. So it's worth fighting for your purity, and you won't be lonely always, but there will be lonely times. But you have to remind yourself that you're worth the wait. That your relationship with God is more important. And if you desire male companionship or you desire a future husband, he'll bring that to pass for you. I'm a living witness. He's done it for me. And it is amazing how he did it when I relinquished that part of myself to him completely. I feel like purity, that lust and purity, that's the last part that people want to give up to God. Because they're like, oh, I got to masturbate. I got these urges. That's not sex. It's still invoking lust in yourself. I'm sorry. It's still, you're masturbating. You come, orgasm, whatever. It's still sexual activity. And so that's the last step I feel like that people are like, don't want to give up, or porn. And it's like, it is still impacting you negatively. And porn impacts the brain. And there's so many scientific things about that. I'm not going to talk all about that, but you can research it yourself of how it impacts the brain and how it can impact your future marriage. And people don't believe it, but I've heard so many stories, and we've heard from experience of how this negatively impacts people's lives and relationships and marriages and sex within their marriage. And so it has to be taken seriously. And so it is what it is. So I hope that helped a little bit. Some people might think we're extreme, but when I tell you that when you do things God's way, the blessing on your life is so real. The joy that you have in your relationship is so real that others want to covet it and they want to be jealous of it. But God has that for everybody who wants to do things his way. And that when you do weigh how beautiful sex can be in marriage, and the intimacy and the love and the joy and just the connectedness that's meant to be in marriage is such a beautiful thing. And coming from somebody who wasn't a virgin when they got married, there is no comparison. In the world, when you're just having sex, there's that lust. So it seems like it's all like, mysterious, but you end up still broken. No, it might feel good, whatever, but at the core of yourself, you're broken. So it is what it is. So.
Yeah, it's worth the wait. And I'll end with the quote. One of my favorite quotes is, if you're willing to wait forever, you won't wait for long. Yeah. I'm telling you. I spent most of my 20s and 30s just wanting to be with the right person, and it seemed like it was going to be forever. Yeah, now that I'm married, it seemed like it went so fast. I can remember when I was 20 like it was yesterday. So, this is the right time when you're single and you want somebody. Man, pour yourself into getting closer to the Lord. Pour yourself into preparation. Because preparation time is never wasted time, all right? I'm telling you, there's so many things to prepare for. Number one being your money. Get your money right, okay? Start saving up. Right. Exclamation point. Okay. Get your money right. Save money. Put money back. Just for no reason, just put it back. Just, I'm putting 10 over here. I'm throwing 20 in my savings. I'm throwing 50 today. I ain't going out to eat. Let me throw this over here. Like I'm telling you, because when you get married, it all comes together. And whatever you've been preparing, whatever you've been getting ready for in different areas of your life, now you're bringing it all together. And so whatever you have done or have not done,
debt or savings
is coming together with somebody.
Together.
All right, so stop making those decisions to buy that stuff on that credit card right now. The clothes that you don't need because you got a closet full of them. Stop making them decisions, because one day that man that you're gonna marry, that woman that you're gonna marry, gonna have to deal with those decisions that you made, and it can be ugly sometimes, or it can just be a challenge and you got to fight through it. So if you're thinking about getting married, start making decisions and let that be a offering of faith to the Lord, that I believe you are bringing somebody to me that is fit and custom made for me. So I'm going to start preparing myself now by the decisions I'm making, so that I can be a blessing to that person when I come, versus I ain't gonna say
an expense.
Yeah. You don't want to be.
You are a major bill.
Right. You don't want that. So prepare. Preparation time is
not
never
that
wasted
you
time.
Can't work through it together.
Right.
But it's less stress when you're more organized and you saved and you have your stuff together.
Yes,
Can you scroll it, babe? Looks like there was another question.
Okay, what's the other question here? Is that it?
Yes. Can you click see more? You can't see
more,
ahead. Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't either. Okay, it says, oops. So I'm a Christian and single, not currently dating because drinking is a non-negotiable. Literally, my pool shrinks to nothing. Can you give wisdom on standing firm on standards and drinking even just wine? Thanks. So I'm a Christian and single, not currently dating because drinking is non-negotiable. Literally, my pool shrinks to nothing. Oh.
All right, so.
Hey, you went last time, didn't you?
Go ahead.
Can finish talking.
Go ahead.
My turn, ladies. Okay, I'm sure you're going to piggyback. First of all, do not lower your standards. If that's what's in your heart and you believe that that's a conviction for you, don't compromise that. I feel like all throughout my little single season, I've been considered too strict, too much. It don't take all of that. You'll never find a man with those standards, all this and all that. But you have to go with the Holy Ghost conviction within you. And if you compromise that, you're going to suffer. Nobody else. So you can't worry about what other people think. Don't lower your standards. And as far as your pool, girl, my pool was 0. I mean, I went through my little stage of dating and then it was a failure. It was like heartache after heartache after heartache, foolishness after foolishness. And I was like, God, I'm done. I can't. I surrender this part of my life to you. And then I went through those years of just being single and satisfied. And my pool was 0, 0, like 0, 0, like 0,
double
0,
zeros.
double zeros. And I got tired of people asking, girl, you getting older, like, when you gonna get married? Now you 30, when you gonna get married? You're a little bit over 30, like, I got tired of that, but then I was like, whatever, like, I'm trusting God, I am not gonna settle, because, boo, I'm gonna be married to this man, not you, so when he acted a fool, or we bumping heads, or we're not equally yoked, I gotta suffer through this, not you. And honestly, our values are just as strict as yours, and voila.
Yeah.
I mean, God sent him. Literally, because I refused to wait. And I waited longer than most people probably would, and most people would have settled. But it's okay. Don't worry about, you don't necessarily, I'm not against dating. I mean, I have a whole dating guide, but the Christian single woman's dating guide version. But it is not necessary to date a bunch of randoms for God to send you a husband. It's just not. Sorry. It's just not. It's not necessary. Now, if people want to go out to meet people, to get to know people, and they're being led by God, and it's innocent, they're keeping sex out of it, okay, cool. You're just meeting people, getting to know what you like, what you don't like. Cool. But if you feel like, you know what? Like, for me, I stopped dating because I just couldn't handle it. Like, they always wanted to have sex, or we were both Christian trying not to have sex, but I was just too weak in that area. So I got to the point where I was like, I just can't handle that right now. I need to go on a little man fast, get my, my focus to the Lord. and deal with my inner issues so that I don't have to feel pressure to have sex and actually go along with it just because I feel pressure. Like, no. Deal with your inside, deal with your spirit, your soul, your heart, your standards, so that you will not lower your standards to keep a man's attention or whatever it may be. So it's not necessary. When I met him, I hadn't been dating for, almost as long as I had been absent. I hadn't dated in a long time. I hadn't been in a relationship for years. And I'm not going to tell you how many years. People was like, ooh, girl, you haven't been dating how long on a date? I was like, it's not necessary. I know what I want now. I've been in enough heartache, enough heartbreak. So at this point, I'm just waiting on God. Mm-hmm. And when he sent him, after, was it 2 months, you asked me to be official. After 7 months, you proposed. You would have proposed, you said, in 4, but you didn't want to do it through the mail since we were a long-distance couple. And we got married within a year of meeting each other. And I couldn't have picked a better match for myself because I waited for the Lord. Yeah. And my standards were extremely high. And I wasn't going to find anybody with those strict standards. Yeah. And voila. So.
Yeah. Is that my cue?
That's your cue. Okay, voila, baby.
Sure. Look, it's two ways. It's two ways to find. It's really one way, but there's two options there's two courses that you can go by in finding somebody. You can do it your way, or the world's way, and then there's God's way, okay? So if you have standards I had the standards. I wasn't dating nobody drinking, smoking. I just wasn't doing it. I go the other way quick because it's not that they're a bad person. That's just not what I wanted. Okay. So because I believe God like I do, I wanted certain things and I was willing to wait forever for it. Yeah. I just wasn't getting married. Hey, I've just been single, but I don't want nobody that drinks because I don't drink. That's just my conviction. I don't want anybody that smoke because that's nasty to me. Okay.
Right. It's your perception.
This is what so, hey, I got a kiss on that person. I don't want that. All right. So that was just me. So I was willing to wait and I put my faith in the Lord for that. But I had to trust him, so if we go out searching, trying to find that, hey, good luck. But if you say, Lord, this is what I want, lead me to that person. I'm at the end of myself. I'm done trying. I'm done getting all dressed up just to go over here with my hopes up, thinking like, ooh, my husband, my wife might be over here tonight.
But look good for yourself, though.
Just go look good for yourself. You trust the Lord because a lot of times the Lord ain't going to bring it like you thinking. I didn't see how she was coming. Surprised me. It was blindsided me. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was not thinking about nobody at the moment. And it just happened. And I was like, oh, wow. So, just get busy about your life and trust him for those things. If those are your qualities, stick to them because we're living witnesses that God will give you what you want. She don't smoke. She don't drink. She don't do none of those things because I wouldn't have married her if those are the things that she did and whatever. And
again, we're not judging, but
we're not judging, but that was just my desire. It's just like, so if that's your desire, stick with it. Stick with it. And it don't mean other people are bad people, but listen,
you gotta live with that person.
Yeah, you gotta live with that person. Getting married is probably the second most important decision behind deciding to give your life to the Lord. And you ought to be able to choose what you want. And God wants you to do that. So don't feel bad about it. Stick to your convictions. Yeah. You can have what you want.
Yeah, good. And that doesn't mean that you got to be a snob about it or, no. It just is what it is. Like, you have a right to have standards for yourself. And I think when people aren't afraid to stand up for their standards, people want to say, oh, they think they're better. No, sweetie, I don't. But I have a standard for my life. This is my life. And you have one to live. So you have a right to have high standards. I hope you do have standards for somebody you intend to spend the rest of your life with. This isn't like picking a pair of shoes or a vacation or whether you're going to school or not, which school you're going to. No, sweetie. This is like a lifetime deal. It should be. And that's why we should consider these things and take in consideration what we're actually getting into. So it's definitely something to think about. You guys are amazing. Thanks for answering. Oh, of course. Thank you so much for asking questions. That's another question?
I thought it was.
Scroll through for me. I'll let you know if there is.
Is that it?
If you're willing to wait forever, you won't be waiting for long. Love that.
Hey, listen, I got it from my pastor long time ago.
He hijacked it from his pastor.
Hey, you got to take those things. I'm telling you.
You scroll the other way, babe. We just want to make sure we didn't miss anybody else's questions. I think we answered them all. Yeah, keep going down.
Yeah, that was it.
I think and so again, we do these once a month. We missed last month, but we will be missing again. It was just so much going on. But if you're single, join my Single and Satisfied Facebook group so you can see some of the other videos and resources that we have. Also right now, check out at Max Out Girl Podcast. That's my podcast, and it's just to help women max out in every area of their life. Right now, the current episode is how not to be a doormat in relationships, and I pretty much talk about like my past relationships. Not all of them, but a few guys, and how I started to become a doormat, didn't even know it. Because like I said, I'm kind of an alpha female, but I found myself vulnerable in these situations, allowing these guys to kind of dump on me like I was a doormat. And so I kind of talk about that, and amongst other things within the podcast, and that comes on every Wednesday at Max Out Girl. It's on all podcast platforms pretty much. And then also go to charbriashine.com if you don't have yet the Single and Satisfied Single Woman's Guide to Fulfillment, or the Single Woman's Dating Guide. Also has a workbook now. And so that's pretty much it. Like, we just want to continue to bless people with our testimony in singleness, our testimony how God blessed us, and our testimony as being newlyweds, how God is so crazy faithful, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. Yes, you can be single and satisfied and thrive in your life as a single. Yes, you can wait for God's best for your life. You do not have to settle for less, and God will deliver on that promise. Not always in our timing, but y'all, when he delivers, he delivers. Like, he does do exceedingly abundantly more than you could ask, imagine, or think. And it is so amazing when God does it. His blessings add no sorrow, and it's just a beautiful thing once you get that promise that you've been waiting on, because God's faithful. The things that you waited and suffered, and the loneliness, it's no comparison to the blessing that God brings. It's like you almost feel like you didn't even go through those things, other than sharing them as a testimony to help other people through that single season. So again, we love you guys. We want to follow you if we're not following you. So follow us at Charbria Shine, at Lewis Shine on all social media. And that's pretty much it. Anything you like to add, babe?
That's it.
Well, we love you guys, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Have a good night. Woo woo.